The man awoke with a sharp breath, the cold air of the room pressing against his skin. The fire in the hearth had burned low, casting only the faintest glow across the wooden beams above. His wife stirred beside him, her voice soft and blurred by sleep.
Another bad dream.
He stared at the ceiling, the last remnants of the dream still flickering in his mind. It wasn't fear that gripped him. It was something else, something heavier.
No.
He murmured, distant.
Not a bad dream, but I must write it down before it leaves me.
She made a soft, sleepy sound, already slipping back into slumber. He moved quietly, the floorboards creaking under his bare feet. At the desk by the window, he lit a candle, the flame stretching long and thin in the cold air. Shadows shifted along the walls, but he paid them no mind. The quill felt heavy in his hand, the ink dark and waiting, and so he began to write.
I must write this before it escapes me. I awoke, or perhaps did not. Either way, it was all too real. I found myself seated within a great moving carriage, though no horse pulled it. It glided forward, silent and smooth, as though the ground itself carried me onward. Through its glass walls, I saw a world unlike any other. Towers rose beyond imagining, built not of stone or wood, but of smooth, gleaming material that caught the fading light and held it in its walls. They climbed so high they seemed to pierce the sky, their tops lost in the darkening clouds. Each was lined with countless windows, each window softly glowing, not flickering like candlelight, but steady, perfect. Like stars had been caught and placed in the sky, but closer, within reach. The sky burned with the last light of day, casting the clouds in shades of purple and gold. Against it, these towers glowed brighter still, as if they belonged more to the heavens than the ground. Below, rivers of light stretched endlessly. Lines of glowing carriages moved in perfect order along black, gleaming roads. Red lights flowing in one direction, white lights in another. None broke rank, none faltered. They moved like stars in a great celestial dance, each one guided by some unseen hand. Never have I seen such order, such harmony. It was not the chaos of men, but the design of something greater. No road in my world is so clean, no path so perfectly marked. This was a world built with purpose, with intention, a world shaped by the very hands of gods. The speed of it all was unlike anything I could imagine. Faster than any galloping horse, faster than any bird in flight, and yet I felt no wind. The ground did not tremble beneath me. I sat still while the world outside rushed past in perfect silence. It was as though I had been lifted from the earth and carried along the very breath of creation. We passed by waters vast and dark, where great ships moved slowly across the surface. They were larger than any vessel I have ever known, yet they bore no sails, no oars. They moved without wind, without man. They glided forward as if the waters themselves parted to make way for them. And in the sky, great shapes moved above the clouds, not birds, not stars. Vast forms, like towers laid sideways, floating fast and silent through the air. They had no wings to flap, no wheels to turn. They drifted through the heavens as if they belonged there, carried by forces I cannot name. Every stone, every light, every movement felt deliberate. This was not the work of mortal hands. It could not be. I do not know where I was, but it could only be heaven. As the carriage glided onward, I dared to look away from the endless world beyond the glass and turned my gaze inward. And there, around me, were the others. They sat in silence, dozens of them, their faces pale in the soft glow of strange lights. Their clothing was unlike anything I have seen, woven from fabrics that shimmered without silk, dyed in colors I did not know could exist. Reds, deeper than blood, blues, colder than ice, and colors I could not name, as if drawn from the sky at dusk or the heart of some distant flame. But it was not their garments that struck me, it was what they held. Each person clutched a small, glowing pane, thin as glass, but alive with light. On those panes, I saw figures, people, moving, laughing, speaking without sound, Faces of men and women, young and old, frozen in strange dances or peering back through the glass as though trapped within. I could not understand. Were they scrying mirrors, windows into other worlds? Each pane seemed to offer a glimpse into distant lives. And yet, no one spoke, no one moved. They sat still, staring as if in quiet worship. Their fingers brushed the glass, and the images shifted at their command. A flick, a tap, and another soul appeared, smiling in silence. It seemed to me that these travelers were gods, each holding dominion over the tiny living worlds within their grasp, watching over their people, observing their joys, their sorrows, their moments of triumph and failure. Yet they did nothing. They watched and only watched. I wondered then if this was their burden, to bear witness and never intervene, to watch lives unfold like stories written in ink they could never touch. The stillness of it unsettled me. Not fear, no, but a coldness. For all the beauty of this place, for all its perfection, there was something hollow beneath it all. So many souls gathered together in silence, each gazing into their own quiet dominion, yet utterly alone. Everywhere, I saw the hand of something greater. Not crude magic, not trickery, but perfect design, as though the very laws of nature had bent to serve some higher will. I sat still, unsure if I was meant to see these things, and yet I could not turn away. Surely, I thought, this could not be the world of men. This was the realm of gods. The carriage began to slow, its movement soft and deliberate. There was no jolt, no shudder, only the gentle easing of speed until it drifted to a perfect stop. A quiet sigh escaped the doors as they parted, and one by one, the silent travelers rose and stepped into the world beyond. I hesitated. The air beyond the glass seemed impossibly still, as though the very world was holding its breath. Yet the others moved without pause, slipping away into the quiet streets, their glowing panes still cradled in their hands. I followed. My feet touched the ground, and it was unlike any stone or soil I had known. Smooth and flawless, the path stretched ahead with strange markings and perfect lines, too precise to be carved by hand. The lampposts that lined the road stood tall and thin, casting a soft, unwavering light. Not fire, not flame. They burned with no smoke, no warmth. Just light, pure and steady. Buildings rose on either side of me, crafted from cold glass and metal, each edge too sharp, too exact. The trees that lined the streets swayed gently, but even they seemed placed with intention, as if the wind itself was guided by careful design. The silence was deeper here, not empty, but full of something vast and unknowable. Every stone, every light, every shadow felt as though it had been shaped by a steady, unseen hand. And then, I looked up. The sky stretched wide and endless above me, untouched by the marvels below. It was darker now, the last light of day surrendering to night. And in that dark, the stars emerged, soft and distant, scattered across the heavens in quiet splendor. But they were not strange. They were familiar. Orion stood watch in the east, his belt gleaming faintly. The Pleiades shimmered close by, and the North Star hung steady in its place. Even the moon, a pale, silent witness, glowed as it always had. This was my sky. The same sky I have gazed upon since I was a boy. The same constellations my father taught me to trace with my finger. The same moon that has followed me through every season. This place, this impossible place, is beneath the same sky. This is Earth.